You're watching Crypto Trader, the world's first cryptocurrency investment show. Tonight's show is definitely going to be our best show. Do you know how I know? Because not only are we going to look at what happened at the World Blockchain Forum in London, but I also caught up with Vays and started to talk to him about what the future of Bitcoin was. And if that's not enough for you, I caught up with Turpin and asked him whether we're in an ICO bubble. And if that's not enough for you, I've got a very special guest in the studio with me today. This guest, not only a good friend, but he's also the fourth most influential person in the blockchain and a finalist in the All Africa Business Leaders Award that CNBC is hosting tonight. Vinny Lingham. I never thought I'd get you to the studio. Welcome to our studio.
Hey Ron, great to be here.
So tell us what brings you to South Africa.
Well, obviously it's a real honor to be part of the awards that CNBC is hosting here. So it's part of my trip and having some conversations with regulators in South Africa around identity and cryptocurrencies, an important part of what we're doing at Civic.
So Vinny, you've been called the Bitcoin Oracle. It would be amiss of me not to discuss the market and what's happening on the market. After the China ban, we started to move sideways a little bit. And now the market seems to get a little bit more momentum. I mean, Bitcoin over $4,000. You've got Ethereum trading at $300. I saw Zcash. Zcash went to from $200 last week went to $400. What is this bounce?
I can't actually tell you. I think the world has changed with crypto. I mean, we're seeing a lot of fiat coming in into the cryptocurrency markets. It goes in via people buying mining equipment, mining coins, purchasing coins, seeing gains in ICOs and token sales, and then applying it into Bitcoin and other more sort of safer cryptos out there. So there's a lot of pump and dump scams going on as well. People in these private rooms are pumping the coins up. Eventually gets a certain price, they cash into again the main coins. And so there's a lot of momentum. Overall, I think the ecosystem is healthy, but we need to keep track of the fact that fiat's coming into crypto and it's not actually leaving. So there is an upward momentum happening in crypto right now.
So we were speaking earlier about Bitcoin and whether Bitcoin was a stable coin. There's a SegWit 2X supposed to come up now, which is the next upgrade, so to speak. And I see that as a big threat to Bitcoin. I mean, how do you see it?
I think I've had a pretty good track record on Bitcoin, calling Bitcoin prices up until...
The Bitcoin Oracle.
Yeah, up until earlier this year. I mean, earlier this year I was kind of fearful of what's going to happen this year in terms of forks. I wrote a couple of blog posts about, preventing the next Bitcoin bubble and a fork in the road on my blog.
How do you see 2X?
It's a difficult situation. It's a lot more complicated than what we can do in a 5-minute conversation. But I think there's a serious risk to Bitcoin right now. As to how it plays out, I don't think anyone knows. I think we're all trying to figure it out.
Another hard fork?
It's not the same as the last hard fork. When we had Bitcoin Cash created. This is different. This is really a disagreement on how consensus is enforced within the network, and it stems back from the UASF activation of SegWit, which has created another movement around the fact that hash power is part of the consensus rules. And so, look, there's disagreement on both sides around how this should play out. I couldn't tell you how it will play out, but I think that we are in for an interesting month or so.
So tell me, what do you think about Bitcoin Cash? Are you a Bitcoin Cash fan, or are you more a Bitcoin man at the moment?
So what I tell people is this. I said, look, I mean, I've got some coins in offline cold storage, and so for every Bitcoin I have one Bitcoin Cash, okay? And so when people are buying Bitcoin today, they're buying one without the other. And obviously there's a lot of risks on one versus the other. So my view is I like my cold storage coins because it doesn't matter how this plays out. I'm going to have whichever coin is the winning coin. As long as you believe that Bitcoin in the end is going to win, it doesn't matter which chain wins out.
As long as you have got both coins. But
yes.
For those that haven't got both coins, they're now faced with a dilemma because they've got Bitcoin where no one can agree and the transaction fees are still high and the block sizes are still small. Then you've got Bitcoin Cash, which kind of solves all these problems and is an electronic peer-to-peer cash system, which was what Bitcoin was supposed to be. So with that, what is the future of Bitcoin?
I've bought Bitcoins recently that are pre-fork Bitcoin. So you buy the Cassasius coins, which are very expensive and trade on eBay. You buy the BTC mined coins, the virgin coins on the titanium blocks. Those are good options to do right now. It's cold storage, they're very safe. You can put them in a bank vault or whatever. If you want to buy and invest long term, that's what I suggest people do. Just buy the offline coins, pre-fork, and then whatever happens the next year or two, it's not going to matter.
You know, I asked Vays the same question. I asked him what he thinks the future of Bitcoin is. Let's see what he had to say. The market has been moving sideways after the China ban, and then all of a sudden this morning we kind of got this momentum coming back, Bitcoin back at 4,200. What's the next move?
I think people are still waiting on some clarity on what's going to happen with the next attempt at splitting Bitcoin into a hard fork, which is supposed to come around November. But as you know, traders don't wait till the news. They have to speculate on the news way ahead of time. And this is the main difference between Bitcoin, the investable asset, and Bitcoin, the speculative trading asset. Right now, the speculative trading side of Bitcoin is in a bit of a hold. That's why we're stuck in this 3,600 to 4,100 area. And I think once it breaks one of those levels, it should really take off, either to the downside or to the upside, and we'll see. I'm actually expecting it to go to the upside for now.
There's a lot of talk about SegWit 2x, which is supposed to happen in November, and whether that will cause the next Bitcoin dip, or whether the market's kind of used to hard forks. Tony, you think the market's used to hard forks by now?
The market is starting to get comfortable with these forks. We've only had one, so it's actually hard to call them forks. The market has gotten used to the altcoins, it's gotten used to the ICOs. Now it has to get used to the forks. We've had one, and we'll see what happens with the other. I don't think it's going to happen. If it does happen, I think it's not going to be as serious as the first one. And I think if it does happen, it's going to draw most of its attention and most of its, I guess, hashing rate from the first fork. So I think forking again would hurt the first fork more than Bitcoin itself.
There's another school of thought that says that hard forks are almost like your Bitcoin dividend policy. So it's almost like if you hold Bitcoin, then the fork splits, you get more tokens and you can sell them while still holding your Bitcoins. So it kind of acts like a dividend. Is this hard fork a dividend policy? Are you of that school of thought?
I don't like it because to me it feels like a proof of stake model. You get to earn more Bitcoin for having Bitcoin. That's not how it was designed. It was specifically designed to burn and spend money on electricity and hardware in order to acquire more Bitcoin. It's supposed to be hard. It's supposed to be expensive. But if people that were in early on Bitcoin, I don't consider myself early, but I guess I'm part of it now. I don't deserve to get free Bitcoin for having Bitcoin. That's not how a capitalist system works.
I'm going to put you on the spot here. I posted something on my Twitter at CryptoManRun where I asked what the price of Bitcoin would be on the 1st of the 1st, 2018. Tone, what's your guess for the price of Bitcoin on the 1st of the 1st, 2018?
I do think that we would be above 4,000, but I think we have one more pop in Bitcoin. I think once we break above 4,100, again, I'm a technical trader, I still think there is one more Bitcoin high left in it this year, but we have gotten very far from the 1st of 2017. I think we'll be pulling back. My best guess is we'll be at around 52, 5,300 at the turn of the year.
One last question before I let you go. The China ban, that scared the markets. Is there a risk that governments are going to start banning or at least highly regulating ICOs and cryptos? Are you scared of that?
Yes, absolutely. But I think they're starting to realize now that Bitcoin itself cannot be banned. The worst you can do to Bitcoin is go after the on-ramps and off-ramps. I mean, everyone still complains that it's hard to get into Bitcoin, it's hard to get out of Bitcoin, but that's because you're interfacing with the traditional fiat system. Now, they're also realizing that Bitcoin itself isn't as bad as what's happening in the ICO space. The reason why China banned all these ICOs is because they took a look at like 100 ICOs and they were just complete and outright scams. It's not the ICOs that you've heard of. When they presented the list of what they were investigating, it's nothing anyone has heard of. And they're looking at it that people are being convinced to buy into this for the hopes of being rich. So they had to put a stop on all ICOs. And this is what happens. The world has had rules on, or the first world anyway, has had rules on how you can fundraise for your company, and you can't just go around those rules because you stuck the words ICO on.
Now, earlier this week, I was at the World Blockchain Forum in London, and there was a lot of talk about ICOs and whether we're in a bubble. Vinny, are we in a bubble?
I would say that it's likely we are, but it's hard to tell. If you look at the Bitcoin price charts the past 12 months, clearly it's very high relative to other offline currencies. Sure, but we're nowhere close. I mean, Bitcoin's a long way to go still.
But there's a lot of if you look at the white papers of the ICOs that are coming out today, I mean, some of them really shouldn't be done in crypto. It's people that are launching a coin for the sake of launching a coin and capitalizing on this ICO craze that's going on, and they're raising huge cash.
So here's the problem with raising huge cash. The failures aren't going to come out anytime soon. If you look at any company that's raised 30, 50, 100 million bucks plus, it's very unlikely they'll spend all that money, even if it is a scam in 12 months. They'll probably bleed it out slowly. So you have 2 or 3 years. The coins may trade down because the team's not producing, they're driving around Lamborghinis and not actually getting work done. And so that's the real risk. I think the reality is that this could go on for a long time.
I caught up with Michael Turpin at the World Blockchain Forum and asked him whether we were in an ICO bubble. Michael Turpin's been around for a while. He's from a company called Transform, and he's going to give me some insights as to whether or not we can expect this ICO bubble to crash. Michael, before we ask you the question of whether or not this is a bubble, give us some background about how you got into the blockchain. And
Sure. So I've been a serial entrepreneur in marketing and technology, so I was looking for the next wave. I got very excited when the internet first came out, the web rather, in the early 90s. I got very excited by social media in the early 00s, and I got very excited when I saw Bitcoin and the blockchain in early 2013.
And when did you buy your first Bitcoin?
Early 2013.
So early 2013 you bought your first Bitcoin. What are you doing today?
So today I'm doing a couple of things. I run Transform Group, which is the #1 marketing advisory firm in the blockchain space. We work with 150 companies. We are about to do our 50th ICO. We did the first one, Mastercoin. We did the most prominent one, Ethereum. We've done numerous other ones, probably about half of the top 50 tokens we've worked with.
That's quite an impressive CV. On the stage today, you were asked whether you think this market's in a bubble. And when we walked down here, you talked to me about we see 1998 all over again.
Sure. So the bubble pop, first of all, the bubble is really defined as the top of a boom. We're clearly in a boom now. You don't know it's a bubble until it's over. So Alan Greenspan had said that the market was in irrational exuberance in late 1996. It had a long way to go before a pop. Late 1996, the NASDAQ was just around 1,000, then it went to 5. And then it crashed back down to 1,000. So I think that we're seeing some bubble-like behavior, but I think that we're also seeing some consolidating behavior. I think the next wave right now of companies to go and ICO or tokenize, do crowd sales is happening, where it's not just crypto kids, it's larger companies that see the fundamental disruption in having a tokenization and a distribution.
But that's the one thing that we're seeing. But the other thing that we're seeing is a lot of companies are just launching tokens, companies that probably shouldn't be launching tokens.
Well, it's a free country, as they say, in a free world. A lot of companies should not be startups. The failure rate for startups in Silicon Valley is 95%. The failure rate for tokens, even the crazy sounding ones, is significantly less.
And what about regulation? So are you a fan of self-regulation in the industry? Do you believe that that's something that can actually be achieved?
I think that self-regulation is necessary to prevent draconian regulation after the fact in every industry, right? I mean, there's a lot of industries that basically try to police themselves so that they don't have regulators who may not understand the difference between a security token and a utility token, try to figure out what's what, like China perhaps has said, all ICOs, we don't know, we don't like them.
So you were asked on stage, and I'm going to ask you the question again. 1 year from now, when we talk again, today the market capitalization is around $140 billion. 1 year from now, what's your bet?
Well, what I said was it was a binary answer. If we end up having more scenarios like today the SEC said they're going to have a task force to look into ICOs, so this implies further regulation as opposed to just interpretation of current regulation, and you have other companies follow China's lead, I think we'll be lower. We'll be about 75 billion. It won't be a crash, but it'll be back to where we were, say, 6-7 months ago. I think if you have a couple of more world issues that cause the price of Bitcoin and Ethereum to go up, that will then provoke more bubble-like or boom-like activity. It could be as high as 400 billion.
That's Michael Turpin, and for those of you who don't know, he was one of the godfathers of cryptocurrency. In fact, he was the one behind the launch of Ethereum. Vinny, there's a lot of talk about ICOs. You've done one of probably the most successful ICO, not only the process of the ICO, but actually what happened afterwards and what you guys are doing. Twitter is abuzz with announcements coming out on Civic. Should we expect anything?
You can always expect announcements from us. We announced Science yesterday. Science Labs, we're basically working with them to make sure their companies can use Civic to run whatever processes they need to and ensure there's identity built into their platforms. And so we have a lot of these coming out. Look, the reality is this. When we did what we did and the market saw what the product was capable of doing, we've had an influx that we can't actually handle as a company. We literally have more people coming to us.
Too many requests at the moment coming to you.
And so, you know, where we are and where people think we are is kind of mismatched, but we're obviously catching up very quickly. And we have to scale up our business development team and our engineering team. We've already nearly tripled the company, or at least doubled the company already since 2 or 3 months ago. So we're growing quickly, but it takes time to build good tech and get it out the door. But there are some exciting stuff happening in the short term as well.
So I think what you're saying is at 40 cents, just fill up your socks. Fill up your you can't, you're not going to comment.
But all I can say is we're working very hard around the clock. We thank everyone who's sending us leads and business development opportunities. We wish we could respond to all of them quickly. We're just swamped right now, and it's great. And I think that it's validating the market that we're in, and I think we'll continue to grow at a pretty healthy pace. And there's lots of announcements in the pipeline. So
Civic's ICO was one of the most exciting ICOs and probably one of the most well-run ICOs. My next guest's ICO is also an incredible ICO. I met these guys at the World Blockchain Forum in London, and I want to show you guys what they're doing. So get this, there are a whole bunch of people, gamers, that go online and play video games and resell items in video games. Now, my next guest has made a business out of this. Malcolm Cassell is the CIO of Opskins. Malcolm, people trade online gadgets to...
Yeah.
Tell me more.
They're 100% virtual. They go into the game and they get items that they use in the game. These are totally cosmetic. It's just the way they look, the way their avatar looks, the way their gun looks. They buy those items and then they go and they resell them.
So I play games, I have a gun.
Yep.
I don't like the look of my gun, so I buy a screen.
A new look.
A new look.
It's called a skin.
Now how much
it skins the item.
And how much does a skin cost me when I buy it?
You could spend $100,000 on it.
$100,000 on a skin?
Yeah.
Okay, so how are you making money out of this?
So we are the largest marketplace in the world for trading those items.
Largest marketplace in the world. What's the average trade that you guys do?
Well, the average trade is probably 10, 20 bucks, but there's items that are thousands and thousands of dollars. There's ones that are pennies.
And how much trade do you do?
Well, we have 150 million transactions we've done in the past 18 months.
150 million transactions in 18 months?
Yeah.
Okay, so how does the blockchain fit into all of this? We're at the blockchain summit. What are we doing on the blockchain?
Yeah, so what we realized is that this massive capability, it's all centralized. If we decentralized, the market would grow even faster than it already is. Because then we could trade anywhere, anytime, and we would have all the power of Opskin's centralized exchange, escrow, fraud prevention, the ability to go cross-border with very, very low fees.
So hold on, I'm sitting in South Africa, you're sitting in the USA, and you want to buy my skin?
Yep.
You can now pay with a cryptocurrency?
We can pay with cryptocurrency, and then that means there's almost no fee involved. It's instantaneous, and you don't have to worry about chargebacks or fraud. Okay, tell me about the cryptocurrency. When does it launch? What is it called? How's it going to work? Sure. So we're launching Worldwide Asset Exchange, waxtoken.com. The pre-sale is starting this month, and what we're going to see is a lot of people participating because they already know the power of cryptocurrency and the power of virtual item trading from video games. How big is your community? We have millions of users. We grow 200,000 new registered users every month.
200,000 new registered users every month. So if our viewers want to get involved in your ICO, where do they go?
They can go to waxtoken.com. That's WAX token, waxtoken.com.
That's waxtoken.com. This is the most exciting ICO I've seen at this World Blockchain Forum. Another person that I caught up with at the World Blockchain Forum was one of the most astute investors in blockchain. Brock Pierce got up on the stage, gave a talk on crypto and the future of crypto, and got a standing ovation when he got off. And so I sent our correspondent, Mo Levine, to interview Brock Pierce.
Welcome back to CNBC Africa. I'm the lead global senior correspondent from CNBC Africa, crypto trader. With me, Brock. You just got off stage. That was a great speech.
Thank you for letting me give it. I think it's important in times like this, when everybody's flying high, to bring them back down to earth, because when your feet are off the ground, bad things can happen. And sometimes it's good when they're well planned, but in general, it's good to keep your feet on the ground. Yeah,
and it's good to have OG crypto guys talking like, hold on a second, and people that have lived through it, right? You were in it. So we had Richard Titus talking about when he was in it with Razorfish, and there was pumps, and it was bubble.com bubble. And in it, he knew it, because they were getting out of work at 4:30 to drink and valued at billions.
Yeah.
What you see a lot of corollaries there, because you were through this as well.
Yeah, no, there's absolutely corollaries. Anytime, again, you have an asymmetry of information between those that possess the knowledge of kind of what's going on in the market and where the opportunities lie, and with these types of returns, and people that want access to it, the asymmetry of information is too great, and it's unavoidable. Bad things are always going to happen, because bad people are going to appear and to take advantage of that situation. It's just unavoidable. Not always bad people, too. Some of them are good intention. They just, you know, inadvertently bad things happen. I mean, it's unfortunate, and that's one of the other things that you can focus on right now is if someone is telling you to invest in something, you probably shouldn't. I never tell anyone to invest in anything. All I do is give them knowledge. I give them information. I inform them so they can think for themselves and make their own decisions. And so you should never invest in something you don't understand. And don't let FOMO, like this moment of, oh, I want to get in on the action right now. This is a long-term trend like the internet. It's going to take decades. Don't just jump in and throw your money around until you know what you're doing. Right. Walk before you run.
Walk, build. What happens when the elastic snaps? Is it going to snap, or are we building at such a rate that so many people want in, so many people will build, that we're going to keep going and the elastic won't snap? We'll just reinforce it.
Well, we're going to see corrections in the same way you see a lot of volatility in the market. Price is the primary barometer of sentiment, but it has nothing to do with the actual technology's development. They're completely disconnected. We've been everything up and to the right from a development perspective, and that was also true of the internet when the bubble burst in 2000. So it really depends on how far the pendulum swings. If the bubble, and by the way, people said we were in an internet bubble in 97, and they said we were in an internet bubble in 98, and a bubble in 99. So these things can continue for a very long time and get a lot bigger, which is why, be rational, try to be pragmatic, don't go all in, and just be thoughtful. But the pain that we'll experience will be determined by how far the bubble runs. And bubbles are fine, bubbles are natural. But if the pendulum swings really far this way, it's going to come slamming back the other way, and that's what happened with the internet in 99, 2000.
But what's a bit different here is that when the pendulum swings the other way and the price crashes, nobody's leaving crypto. Everybody's just going to be poorer, but still working in the same industry.
Yes, just like most of us in the internet days. But what did happen is we stopped having access to capital. So what'll happen, and it won't be as bad as 2000, obviously, there was no one willing to invest in internet companies in late 2000, 2001. It was literally a toxic sector. All the smart investors in the world said, the internet is, a cool experiment, but you'll never be able to build business there. And that's even when you had eBay and companies that were profitable trading below cash in the public markets. It's back to the emotional swing. And we'll have that too. If the next round of tokens and things, if there's a big, if the next round of deals all drop 50% once they start trading, all of a sudden people are going to stop investing so heavily in ICOs. You could see, the market dry up temporarily, and the market's going to, I think that's at some point will happen, at least for some moment. I hope it doesn't happen anytime soon, and I hope that we can rationalize the market before it happens. For example, you know, these deals that are raising $50 million, for example, it could be structured as a smart contract where, like milestone-based financing, which is what venture is, they only get the first 5 million. They have to hit a certain milestone or the 45 million goes back to all the original wallets. Right. And it's we can architect this where we can allocate you all the tokens, but we can also put in place, you know, KPIs. Protections and KPIs and things. So the market is going to continue to evolve, and as long as we self-regulate and we attempt to be the best actors we can possibly be, we might be able to prevent, you know, some of those things. But we're clearly going to go through cycles.
So we got a minute left. I'm not going to ask you what's the best thing, but which token you got, and we get a clip of that.
There's too many of them anyway.
Is there a type of thing that you're looking at? Is it protocol, applications, security tokens, utility? What's?
Well, I'm a full stack sort of a contributor, but yeah, the protocols themselves are the biggest sort of play, and I think the most interesting trend, because you want to be going where not everybody else is, I think it's in security tokens. With BCAP, we did the first issuance of an ICO of a security, and I did that because I wanted to, well, I wanted to be the one to cannibalize the venture capital industry. It's just a personal thing I like doing. When you know an industry is needs to innovate, you can wait for someone else to come and innovate and crush you or do it yourself. So I think it's in security tokens because ultimately investors want rights to royalties, ownership, dividends, and I think that in the long term, that's where the bulk of the market's going to be. So that's where I would be looking if I was an innovator today.
If you were an innovator.
I mean, if you're not, I mean, I am, but I mean, as entrepreneurs.
Sure.
I mean,
as everybody looking at the industry.
Don't look at the market the way it is. Think about how the market should be and be one of those people.
So I posted on Twitter this week asking people what they think the price of Bitcoin will be on the 1st of the 1st, 2018. And I put up a bounty for the person who's going to get the price right. On the 1st of the 1st, 2018, at 0000 New York time, what will the price of Bitcoin be? Go to my Twitter, fill in your answer with the hashtag BTC2018, and the person who gets the closest call wins the Bitcoin. I'm going to put my guest on the spot. Vinny, 1st of the 1st, 2018. What's the Bitcoin price?
This is a tough one. I'm going to go with $3,000.
Before I let you go, Vinny, I want to ask you one last question. You once posted on your Twitter, you said if you could hold 5 tokens and not buy or sell for the next 5 years, what would they be?
Well,
so I'm going to ask you the same question. If you could hold 5 tokens, no buying and selling, 3-year time horizon.
I mean, obviously Bitcoin. You've got to hold Bitcoin.
So Bitcoin.
I'd hold Bitcoin Cash as well.
BCH.
I'd hold Ethereum.
Ethereum.
I'd obviously hold Civic.
Well, you've got no choice but to hold Civic.
And I'd be holding Filecoin as well.
And you're going to hold Filecoin.
Yeah.
When is Filecoin coming onto the market?
It's sometime next year. But I mean, obviously I participated in the pre-sale and the SAFT. So, you know, I'm looking forward to it actually coming to the market. But if I had to take a 5-year view, I think that's going to be a big one. So
that's Vinny Lingham's top 5 coins. Remember again that if you want to stand a chance to win that Bitcoin, go to my Twitter, that's @CryptoManRan. Guess the price of Bitcoin on the 1st of the 1st, 2018, and you could win that Bitcoin. I'll see you next week. Until then, happy trading.